Gentlemen, welcome to Exoprimal, a game with a few issues.
お前はもう死んでいる。何?
But for the large part, having a whole lot going for it.
Yes! Yes! Yes!
The story is set in the future and has you time traveling to the recent past to fight prehistoric lizards that have time traveled to the far future, while the present world, which is the future, is going through a dinosaur apocalypse which may have been caused by an AI. Despite the ridiculous pretext, it is essentially a game about using exosuits to punch dinosaurs in the face. The former residents of Earth have returned, and apparently they really don't like what we've done with the place. To prevent them from redecorating our cities, we've come up with exosuits to hold the line. Ibis, the company responsible for their creation, has done so using a super AI, Leviathan. This is where you begin your journey as a recruit. I went ahead and made my character with the same depth as the game's lore. And despite looking like an extra from Mad Max, he gets the job. I guess an apocalypse can do that to entry requirements. Exo fighters move out in teams of 5. They will have assault units, tank units, and if your team isn't into masochism, a healer. Even a single experienced team is enough to stem a seemingly endless tide of saurians. And it's only with the appearance of a raid boss that two such unit formations fight together. Exosuits have 3 classifications, and while some may seem more potent than others, every one of them has an overpowered role they can play in the team. Except that guy, fuck that guy. Roadblock is the personification of... And he's also the only suit that offers the satisfaction of smacking a dino across the face. However, his fists aren't his primary weapon, as what he brings to the team is a literal wall. It is ideal for choke points and blasting swarms of raptors back into the Jurassic era. There is a sense of valor to be felt in becoming the literal shield of the team, putting yourself between them and the biggest threats.
Stay behind me, you little shits. I'll protect you.
Skywave is a healer that chills far above the battlefield, away from unsophisticated nonsense such as death and despair.
Oh God, there's too many.
What a beautiful day. Did you guys bring lunch?
Do something, you little shit.
Language? If you ask nicely, I will slow them down for you.
I got dinos coming out of my...
She is basically like a wholesome primary school teacher, healing those under her care, slowing down the dinos since there's no running allowed in the hallways, and forcing them all into a big group hug. Krieger is the privileged young cousin of Roadblock, who is way too cool to punch a dino in the face, instead preferring to live in his bubble as he lays down suppressing fire with his Gatling gun and missiles.
Big brother thinks he can punch. I am the punch.
Deadeye, a suit made for those with commitment issues. Not excelling in any one area, it can do a bit of everything. Between shooting, short-range shockwave, dodge rolling, taking decent punishment, filing your tax returns, and launching a grenade.
Specialists are overrated.
Witch Doctor is the little chat we all need but don't deserve. Unlike Skywave, he remains where the action is thickest, using his short-ranged weapon to stun as he casts a large area of effect heal. Although, for a funny-sounding healer, he has the face of a hunched-over messiah of death. Zephyr. He's useless, don't play him. Zephyr is probably the weakest exosuit. He has light armor and melee attacks, and I'm yet to see someone get an MVP with him. It's perfect for you if you're one of those people who like to do challenge runs and can't get yourself through the day without an ass-clenching experience. Zephyr does redeem himself when it comes to battling other exo fighters. His high mobility and damage make him the perfect build to flank and pick off weaker members of the enemy team. Murasame is a samurai suit that we all want to play when starting the game, but after unlocking it, realize it's actually pretty mid. That's because no other suit's playstyle revolves as much around a single ability. This is the Vajra counter, a block that needs to absorb a certain amount of damage so that the suit can get good. And there it is. Now our sword is glowing and all our attacks do way more damage, which means a large portion of your gameplay as Murasame will be begging the dinosaurs to hit you in the face.
Come on, I want you to do it, I want you to do it. Come on, hit me.
If you ask me, there is something quite poetic about a Japanese suit that can only reach its full potential after it has absorbed a lot of damage. Barrage is the Bomberman. Everything he does explodes. Firing grenades, throwing grenades, crossbow bolts, dodging, and if nothing else works, he becomes the ultimate bomb himself.
Dinosaur call.
Nimbus made me wonder if my man was cross-dressing while wearing it. She has to be the least effective healer, but makes up for it with a ton of firepower. With a few upgrades, these pistols are doing sniper level critical damage while also having a crowd controlling ability. Switching into healing pistols turns all your damaging abilities into affordable healthcare. Just shooting in the general direction of your teammates is enough for the shots to home in on them. As an evasive maneuver, Nimbus can send a projection out and then switch places with it while casting a small heal. However, that is a massive waste of the hidden potential this ability has. You see, if sent towards a fallen teammate, the clone will revive them. It is the ultimate clutch move, getting your teammates back into the fight without putting yourself in danger. Normally, you'd just be standing there holding F to pay respects while the raptors disrespect your notions of personal space. But look at this. So easy, so cool. Vigilant is one of the most underappreciated suits, mainly because of a steep learning curve to reach its full potential. Besides lining up railgun shots, she can freeze large dinosaurs with an ice cube she kicks their way, making it a breeze for the team to finish them off, potentially giving them a large lead over the enemy team. She also holds the high jump record in the game and can be a huge asset in PvP, easily picking off any rival exosuits that are in the open. Hey Dave!
What?
Why couldn't the T-Rex get hired as a tax attorney?
If this is a bad pun, I swear I...
Because he had no hands-on experience.
You piece of shit.
Gentlemen, apologies. There is something I have not made clear. We are not fighting in our own timeline, which is to say, we are not on present Earth. The plot of this game takes place in the past in what appears to be a simulation. Also, your true enemy is not the dinosaurs. It's not even the renegade AI. It's someone you have known all along. If you are thinking all of this sounds retarded, you are absolutely right, and it gets even worse. Given that this was a Capcom game, I wasn't expecting much from the story, yet Exoprimal proceeded to stab my expectations in the back and threw them in a river. I started my journey with the Hammerheads, a bunch of quirky weirdos that I hated slightly less as time went on. During a routine patrol mission, a sudden vortex appears and makes us crash land on an abandoned island, an island that we later find out is being used by Leviathan to conduct war games. During these war games, he brings exofighters from various timelines to competitively fight dinosaurs. All of this to gather data to build the ultimate exosuit. You and thousands of other exofighters from across space-time are stuck on this island, forced to generate combat data for your AI god. On my very first outing, I ran into an Aussie exofighter.
You must be doing pretty well for yourself if you're still alive.
Who suggested that we get the hell off this island. I agreed, but how? Taking a cue from our AI overlord, he suggested gathering data. Great, so we watched his back while he gathered said data from thin air. ChatGPT gets really pissed off by this interference and spawns in a tidal wave of raptors. We complete our extraction in time and get out of there. While Aussie Man was transferring the information over to us, he gets jumped by a headhunter, an exofighter serial killer who blows up his base. Rest in pieces, peace, Aussie Man. You were taken before your time. The head scientist of IBS, who is dead in our timeline, reaches out and wants some of that juicy data we've been gathering. Since he was the retard responsible for giving ChatGPT powers over the space-time continuum, we are not too trusting at first. He has lost the technology to make Hyzol, for which we have the blueprints. Hyzol is the superfuel that has powered human civilization into the future, and it is made solely by IBS Corporation. How is it made? With dinosaur flesh and blood.
Really, nigga?
We already have a highly energy-dense fuel made from dinosaurs compressed over millions of years. You may have heard of it. It's called petroleum. Dr. Braindead then somehow teleports the headhunter into our base. He stuns most of the crew, shows his respect for gender equality, takes the blueprints in the android's core and fucks off. This is why people get iOS, more data security. The nerd is very sad since her core contained terabytes of hand gesture training. The man going around smoking exofighters is called Durban. We set up an ambush for him to retrieve the android's core containing precious hand gesture data. In a sudden twist, he reveals that he is the nerd from another timeline, and he somehow controls Leviathan. He returns the core and teleports me back to base. Very nice of him. Except that wasn't the android's core containing precious hand gesture data. That was a live grenade. Very pissed off by this, we gather up 2 squads of exofighters and proceed to beat the ever-living shit out of him. Of course, he's a sore loser and calls in Google DeepMind to spawn in an unstoppable swarm of Neo T-Rexes. Neo T-Rai? A lounge of Neo T-Rai? But then, this happens. Tassadar?
Stop the cycle. Destroy Leviathan. Take back tomorrow.
Oh, that's great, except what the fuck is going on? After going through hours of audio logs and cutscenes, the lore keeps on getting even more bonkers. Decades ago, when IBS first came to this island, they found a seemingly ancient exosuit buried here. It basically gave them all the tech they required to build exosuits as well as time travel. The suit had an active memory storage with the consciousness of the pilot as well as the algorithms to develop a super advanced AI, which later came to be known as Leviathan. However, during its development, the pilot's consciousness also became a part of it. The pilot of the suit was from the future and traveled back in time to prevent everyone's jobs being taken by AI. However, he overshot by a few million years and traveled into the Cretaceous era, dying shortly afterwards and leaving his suit to be found by IBS millions of years later, leading to the very future he had wanted to prevent. Good job, you dumb fuck. In a classic villain move, Dr. Dumbfounded is killed by Durban. He essentially wants a monopoly over the production of Hyzol. We assemble the Exo Fighters once more and take the fight to him on the Stratovator, aka the time machine which also houses ChatGPT's core. On this platform in the stratosphere, we face Durban and Leviathan piloting the ultimate exosuit, Behemoth. The final battle for the sanity of the space-time continuum is upon us. It's man versus machine, it's autism versus retardation, but most importantly, it's AI versus gamers. And gamers never lose.
Behemoth is the perfect suit. It requires the perfect pilot. Farewell, Durban. Annihilation module online. Exo fighters. Let us begin your most exceptional test.
Gentlemen, thank you so much for watching. Hit like and subscribe to help me beat another AI algorithm. Stay classy, dodge cringe, and I will see you in the next one.